Good evening, Weather Club and weather enthusiasts. I wanted to show you guys this because this is something that's really cool. Um, when we start to look at some of these models, now I didn't show you this one earlier today. This is the GFS. So anytime you want to see what model it is, if you just look up here in the top left-hand corner of whatever map you're in, we're looking at the GFS, and it says initialized, meaning that this computer model was run at 18Z. Okay, and what 18Z is the time that they ran it, and we're talking about 5 hours before what this would be in military time. So if this was military time, we're looking at about 6 o'clock tonight, and we're talking about 5 hours before that. So we're looking at 1 o'clock in this afternoon. So about 1 o'clock this afternoon, they ran this model, and um, this is what we are getting from that. Um, so what you see here is we're looking at the level of the atmosphere that the pressure would be about 500 millibars. And what we look for when we're looking at this geopotential height anomaly, what we're looking for is the greens and the blues and everything mean that there's a trough in the jet stream, which means the jet stream just kind of dips down. And a lot of times what happens is weather systems kind of slide down that jet stream, just like you would if you were a kid going down a slide. Okay, and you can see out west here, we have this huge ridge. So we've got a ridge and we've got a trough, which usually means very cold air for us and very warm air out west. And what is really cool about this is kind of the setup we have for this weekend. And so if we look at how deep this trough digs, you guys can see the dark greens, like that is a major dig in the trough. And that's why you're going to get this weekend to be so cold. Okay, that's why this weekend is going to be just so cold. Um, However, I did kind of want to go and show you what we're looking at for next week. And the setup we have next week is here's Monday, and you can see that we kind of still have this little bit of a trough. It's not as strong, okay, is what we were talking about back here. This is a very strong trough with these greens and these purples and everything. And we go to next week. Now, I mean, this has a little bit of time to get its act together. It still has a trough, but it's just not as strong, okay? It's not as deep. The ridge in the west isn't as high. Um, and the other big thing that I want you guys to look at is there's no red or oranges above this area. And that's going to be a key important factor when we start to talk about what kind of a storm we're looking at on Tuesday. Because there's no red or orange or yellow or anything up here, that's what we would call blocking. And because there's no blocking, there's nothing to keep this cold air down here. Okay, so I'm going to take you to a different page right now, a different model. Actually, we're going to stick with the GFS. But what we've switched to is the temperatures at that level of the atmosphere. And usually what you look for is this line, the difference between these grays and the purples and reds. Okay, that's kind of like our freezing line. So usually what we see on one side is snow or some kind of frozen precipitation, and on the other side is that warmer air, so that's where we get a little bit of rain. And what I want you guys to look at is this area right over here around Texas. And this is Monday at 6Z. So we're talking about 1 a.m. on Monday. Okay, and as we go through the time, I want you to watch this area. Okay, see how this little bump has come up? That's what we're watching for, because that's going to be a huge important factor on what happens with this storm system. So right here developing is a low pressure system in which we have some moisture out in front of it, which is going to give us some precipitation, and then behind it is drier air. But out in front is the key point. And so we got to watch these temperatures. So it's warmer out here, a little bit colder behind. We keep going, we push into Tuesday, and then right here, and this is kind of what I'm talking about, how this is going to be such a close call. So I want to go into a little bit closer to our area so we can see a little bit closer. But remember, here's Allegheny County, which I showed you guys, and look at how close this is. This is technically the line between rain and snow. And so this is very, very close. And if we go to a different level of the atmosphere, the 850 millibars, again, super close. I mean, we're talking about the distance of 20 miles that you could be talking about a huge amount of snow and a lot of rain and no snow. So I do want to back up just a little bit. Again, we're going to go out to our continental U.S. CONUS, okay, the CONUS. And here's that, I backed way up. Here's that 850 millibar temperature readings again. And here's Tuesday. Okay, and you can see we've got this huge little gap between very cold air back here and very warm air back here. And that's going to play a huge role. But I do want to back up a little bit. Let's go back towards Sunday. And let's go check out where this storm is developing. Okay, so again, I want you to watch out here by Texas as we get a little bit closer. And what you're going to notice, okay, on Monday morning, that's 7 o'clock a.m., you've got this low pressure center starting to build out here. And you can see the precipitation that's coming with it. Okay, and it's going to get stronger. Watch these numbers. They're going to go down. So we're at 1010. The next time we get it, we're already down to 1002 in the middle. And then lower pressure means the stronger the storm. And you can see some of this precipitation starting to build. The greens are getting darker. You're going to see some purples get darker. This is Tuesday morning. Okay, and this is where this gets a little tricky. So we've got this stronger low pressure system, 999. We're under 1,000 millibars. It's a pretty strong system. Okay, so 999, and as we continue to go through, it gets a little bit stronger. Okay, but if you remember, when we zoomed in, I showed you where that line was. And where that line was plays a huge role, those upper atmospheric temperatures. Here is a little hard to see, but here's Allegheny County. We're in the green. And what's so interesting about this is, let's go back to the 850 temperatures. It's right where that line is. Okay, so on the one side of the line we got snow back here. On the other side we got some rain. And as this thing pushes out, yes, we do get a little bit of snow from this. But let's look at the total precipitation or the total accumulated snow. And I don't want to get anybody's hopes up or anything like that. But this is kind of what we're seeing in terms of snow. We're looking at maybe anywhere from 6 inches, and that's just on the GFS. Some other models have some different ideas, but I wanted to show you guys the GFS. And since we're going back to this picture, and we go back to right here in this unbelievably close line of us getting a ton of snow and much less snow, I want to take you back to this picture. And if we go back to that time, and I told you about this thing of the blocking, and if there was this red and orange stuff up here, if those colors were sitting up here, we'd have all this cold air locked in down here, and we'd have no problem getting the snow. And it's interesting, one of the things that some of the other models are showing, and I'm going to show you the European model this time. So we will take a look here at our European model, and I'll just go ahead and show you kind of a different idea that the European model has as opposed to the GFS. Okay, so we're talking total snow here, and watch these numbers jump. Okay, this is crazy amounts of snow. Okay, we're going from having almost none to 8. These pinks, these pinks are 15, 16 inches. They stretch from 10 all the way to 16 around Akron, Ohio. And back here, we're looking between 4 and 5, or 4 and 6. But the important thing here is, we'll see it the next model run, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing shifts back this way a little bit. Just something to watch, okay? All right, guys, hopefully that helped a little bit, gave you a little bit of an insight as to what you can expect maybe next week. We got to be looking out early next week for this stuff, though, okay? All right, I hope you guys have a good weekend, and let me know if you guys want to ask any questions on weather over the weekend. All right, see you later.